You are listening to Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast.
When your heart is aching and your world is shaking, don't give up. No, don't give up.
Hello, and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope, the podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today we're here with a really special guest, Dr. Shayna Peter. Dr. Shayna Peter is a functional naturopathic medicine doctor, holistic dermatology specialist, and licensed dietitian nutritionist who has helped hundreds who have tried everything for their skin problems and have been left feeling frustrated, helpless, and hopeless. She is the founder of Well Ahead Chicago, a functional medicine practice offering health consulting and educational resources to help people upgrade their skin health and vitality. Dr. Peter is also the author of the newly released book, It's Not Just Acne, and has been published in the Journal of American Academy of Dermatology, DermWorld, and has been featured in numerous outlets, including Insider, The Dr. Axe Show, Chicago Woman Magazine, and Best of Chicago. Oh my goodness, Dr. Peter, you are killing it, crushing it, and making us aware of our brain, gut, skin connection. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I know that we were just talking, and I'm really excited to have her. And for those of you who are on YouTube, this is a copy of her book. I had to put it right here because it is amazing. But we're going to talk all about that and all the amazing stuff in it. But first, Dr. Peter, we always ask our guests to share a story of hope, because that usually was your wake-up call or what made you super passionate to step into this field. So do you want to share your story of hope with us?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I know the struggle. And so I know that with skin conditions, people can kind of go through the system and kind of, go through the conventional medicine system and kind of go through the ringer, for lack of a better way to put it, in really get to a point where they've lost hope and wonder if there really is a solution for what they're dealing with. And so in my case, what really inspired me to write my book is the same principles, the same things that I was seeing with people in my private practice, and what I was seeing work for them to help them heal from the inside out, rather. And so when I was thinking about the book and thinking about how I could help people on a broader scale and really make the information available to a lot of people, I didn't really see any books out there that really talked about acne on a deeper level and really educated people on how functional medicine could help them. And with acne being so common, it's around 80% of the population deals with acne between the onset of puberty and age 30, 80% of the population. So it's an extremely common condition that I felt was a great way to educate the public more on the gut-skin connection and how skin conditions are really a reflection of what's going on with people on the inside. And so the feedback that I've gotten, which really makes me happy, is that people benefit from the information at all ages. So it's not something that would just benefit someone who's struggling from acne. People of all ages that are dealing with all kinds of skin concerns and all different types of concerns can benefit from the information. So that's really what makes me happy.
I love it. And I love that you're putting gut health, and connecting that for people to their skin, because their skin is an organ. It's the largest organ in the body. And whatever we're putting in our bodies is being released in some way. And so do you want to talk about how skin is related to the gut health?
Yeah, so our skin and our gut are inextricably linked. That's just what it is. And there are a number of ways that our gut actually communicates with our skin and vice versa. One of the biggest ways that our skin and our gut communicate is through our microbiome. And so for people that are listening that may not be familiar with that term, our microbiome, is the microbiota. So it's the microbes in our gut and their genetic information, the signaling, the metabolites that they produce. That's our microbiome.
No, I was just thinking that it's funny because I never had to struggle with acne. I think I had one pimple when I was pregnant, but I do know people who do struggle with it. And I thought it was genetic. Like I just thought it was genetically passed down because their parents struggled with it and then their kids do. And I just genetically missed that marker. But that's not true, right? That's like wise tale sort of stuff.
So I would say it's true and it's not true. So with most conditions, there's a genetic component. However, the genetic piece by itself, that's not the whole puzzle. So what we're really big on in functional medicine and try to educate people about is we can influence our genes. So our genes are kind of like the cards that we're dealt, but we can influence how those cards play out based on our lifestyle and our habits, like how we live our life. So we can turn those genes on or off, those disease-causing genes. So definitely with acne, there's a genetic component. There's that 20% of people who never really struggle with acne, but it doesn't mean that they don't still have some of the same imbalances going on that some people that struggle with acne might have. Maybe it's just expressing itself in a different way. And that's the part that can be so frustrating for a lot of people with acne, especially younger people. They're like, my friend, you know, they don't do any of the things that I'm doing to be healthy. They eat whatever they want. Their skin's perfect. Like, what's going on?
You know, I think that that's so true. And I remember when I was in high school, so this was a long time ago, I dated a boy who worked at like In-N-Out Burgers, and he didn't eat the food there because you never eat the food where you work. But he had acne all of a sudden. And I think it was because he worked the fry station and all that steam and oil like caused him to get acne, because when he stopped working there, it went away.
Yeah.
I love it. I want to know like some of the things in your book when you talk about gut health being related to your skin. So obviously it's what we're putting in our gut. What are some things that as parents we can use to help our kids maybe through this process? Because it seems to me now when you take in your teen, especially if it's a girl, the first thing they do is put them on, what is it called? They put them on birth control. Like it doesn't matter what age they go in, 13, 14, 15, they say it balances out their hormones and helps get rid of the acne. And so they put them on birth control to control acne, which to me is terrifying because those young girls are going to want to have babies one day and their body's not going to know how to function when they go off of it correctly. So what are some of the things that you would tell parents to help their kids in removing from their diet or being more aware of their diet relating to their skin?
Yeah, so I know it's hard with teenagers. It's, you know, they want to be young, they want to eat what they want to eat. But I would say the more that you can really fortify your diet with nutrient dense whole foods. So the more you can follow an anti-inflammatory diet. So I'm not even saying that you have to completely cut out everything in order to notice a difference, but limiting foods that are high in gluten. So, you know, those breads, pasta, sweets. So definitely refined sugar. So staying away from a lot of refined sugar. Dairy products can be a big trigger. So I would say limiting those three things as a starting point, and finding healthier alternatives. So I have seen a lot of younger people in my practice, especially college age. And at first, sometimes it can seem a little overwhelming. They're like, oh my goodness, you know, what am I going to eat? And as they get into it and as I show them how to make that transition, they realize that it's really not that difficult. And they're just eating more of the things that they should be eating anyway. And what
I was going to say, I went plant-based and I, again, never had acne, but I noticed a huge difference in my skin. It glows. And so it does change the way your skin looks, whether you have acne or not.
Right. That is so true. That's something that a lot of people notice when they're following more of an anti-inflammatory diet and increasing their intake of plants, because you're impacting your body in so many ways and doing so many wonderful things, including for your gut. So you're opening up your drainage pathways. You're going to have, I'm sure you've had better elimination. Yeah. So that's going to be opening up those drainage pathways, stimulating a lot of drainage, which helps to alleviate a lot of congestion in the skin. And you notice that your skin had that healthy glow. So when we incorporate more plants, we're doing great things for our skin on a number of different levels.
I love it. One of the things I wanted to ask you, what exact skin problems are related to the gut? Are they all, or is it just some very particular ones?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say in the research, there's certainly a lot of information about the connection with acne, rosacea. There's more coming out about conditions like seborrheic dermatitis and psoriasis. But I would argue that for most chronic skin conditions, gut health is a factor. So depending on the condition, depending on the person, there can be some variance as far as how big of a factor it is. But I would argue with most chronic skin conditions, you gotta evaluate gut health. So of course, acne, rosacea, eczema, even conditions like melasma that we think of as being purely hormonal. As we understand more about the microbiome and gut health and hormone metabolism, the microbiome play a big role with estrogen metabolism. So again, gut health is going to affect melasma and be something that has got to be addressed if you're going to address it from a root cause standpoint. Definitely the autoimmune skin conditions like psoriasis, vitiligo, and skin cancer. So I didn't want to forget that. Yes, even skin cancer is being shown now that there's a correlation with gut health with melanoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and basal cell carcinoma.
That's crazy. I would never have thought that. I thought it was all because you're unprotected in the sun. That's
Nope.
crazy. One of the things that you said earlier that I think is key is that sometimes we think that, and I love epigenetics, and sometimes we think because we're predestined for a very specific thing, it's just our destiny. And that is not true. How, like you talk about being able to change those, turn those receptors off, like just cancel them out. And that doesn't mean you'll never get something that you may be predestined to get, but it means you could put it off for a very long time, right? So what are some of the ways that we can do that to make our skin better? Like shut off, like if my mom had very bad acne, I had it, now my kids have it. What are some of the things that we could do to shut that up? I know change our diet is for sure one of those things because we know we're predestined, but how can we help our kids recognize that and shut that down?
So how can we, okay, so other than diet, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, other than diet, is there any tips in your book?
Um, yeah, so aside from diet, because diet is going to influence our gut health and our microbiome, one of the things that I try to educate people on in the book is um, different labs that can help them to identify what's going on, because of course food is really important and food is a trigger, but I think sometimes with just talking about diet, we kind of miss the boat and we kind of oversimplify things, because diet recommendations, they can get very personal. They can get very personalized depending on what's going on with that particular person and what you're looking to achieve. So even diets are not going to be one size fits all. But taking more of the functional medicine approach, identifying those underlying root causes, getting more information about what's going on with gut health, your hormone balance, nutritional deficiencies, those are ways that you can personalize diet and lifestyle recommendations a lot further.
You answered that beautifully, by the way. So thank you. What are some of the signs that your digestive system could be off? Like if I'm just eating and I feel like I'm eating super healthy,
Mhm.
and because I was raised on a dairy, we ate meat every night. It was meat, potatoes, vegetables, real butter, but like we ate like you would on a farm. And
Yeah,
so that's how I was raised, but things are different now. Like even that food, if I were on the farm now, it would be different.
right.
So what are some of the signs that your digestive system could be off?
Oh, that's a loaded question, so I'll do my best to answer. So some more obvious signs are obviously going to be digestive signs, so things like constipation and diarrhea. And I even think with constipation, we have to get clear on what the definition is because um, with the standard American diet, it's like average for people to be somewhat constipated. So a lot of times we just think of that as being normal. But are you having healthy elimination? Are you eliminating after every meal? Are you going multiple times a day? Are you going every other day? That wouldn't be normal. So definitely things like that, bloating, gas, those are going to be more obvious symptoms. But one of the key things that I wanted to educate people about is our gut health. It has far-reaching effects beyond our gut and even our skin. And that was one of the main things that I wanted to educate people on. And it's not just acne, is that you may not have any digestive systems. There may just be, more vague symptoms of inflammation. You could be dealing with a skin problem. You could be dealing with brain fog. You could be dealing with fatigue. So you may not have a signal that is a digestive concern, but that doesn't mean that you don't need to still evaluate your gut health because that's going to be central to your overall health and lowering inflammation. And that's the name of the game with all of this. So,
One of the reasons I was so excited to have you on here is because I do not have a gut. I had a radical gastrectomy 10 years ago because
yeah.
my vagus nerve was damaged. And so it gave me gastroparesis. So nothing could exit my stomach. So the cure for that was to remove my stomach completely. And so I struggled with finding ways to get nutrients into my body. One of the things I did was I made a journal every time I ate. What did I feel like 30 minutes after? Was I feeling bloated? Did I feel like sometimes I feel like the food is poisoning me because it's just stuck there, won't go. And I noticed when I ate plant-based foods, and this
Mhm.
is not for everyone, but I noticed it made me feel better. Like I felt energized. I didn't feel overly full. I didn't feel bloated. And so that's was my choice to do plant-based when I, decided what would work best for me. So would you recommend like keeping a chart on how you feel after you have a big bowl of pasta versus a salad? Like, what does
Oh,
your body feel afterwards?
absolutely. Those symptom journals can be extremely insightful. Absolutely.
It definitely was very insightful for me because you eat and you're busy, right? I run in and I grab lunch and I get busy and I forget like what it may feel like or how it was my body was reacting to it. But if I wrote that journal, and I only did it for a few weeks, it only took me a few weeks to figure out what was working and what wasn't working.
Mhm.
And when I figured it out and got on that diet, I felt so much better. By the way, I'm not like when I say plant-based, I eat other things. I'm just very limited when I do. So I might eat fish once or twice a month, but mostly it's all plant-based. And if I can swap something else out, I make it easy for myself. So if you say that I'm going to change my diet, doesn't mean you can't go out right and have cake one day or for a birthday party or, indulge once in a while. It's just that you don't want that in your diet on a regular basis because your body
Right.
doesn't react nicely to it.
No, I agree with that 100%. And when I educate people about making, doing a diet overhaul, that's one of the things that I really try to educate them about. Of course, life happens, we go on vacation, we have birthdays, Thanksgiving is coming up. But it's really about establishing a daily routine which foods are going to be your staples. Which types of foods do you want to incorporate into your diet every day? Which foods are going to be the staples in your diet? And structure that in a way so that it's something that you can stick with, because that's how you're going to get the results that you're looking for and maintain them over the long term, not by yo-yoing and doing every other fad diet that you hear about.
So that brings me to my next question for you. Can you tell us some of the top foods that we could be using and maybe some lifestyle tips that maybe some that you have in your book? This book, by the way, is phenomenal. I recommend everybody read it, no matter what condition your skin is, because she really explains what the gut is doing to our overall health, what it's doing for our skin, what it's doing like for fatigue, like the things that may not be what you think related to gut health. So it's really informative. But what are some of the top foods and lifestyle tips for our gut health?
Okay, so for foods, I would break that down into a few categories. So I would say definitely plants. Definitely plants, making sure that you're getting a diverse array of plants. So usually I say at least 20 different plants per week. It's going to be optimal because by doing that, you're going to be able to get a variety of different plant chemicals and prebiotics so that you can help to create and maintain a diverse microbiome, which is going to be really helpful. So with that, foods that are high in fiber, so that's going to go back to plants. Foods that are anti-inflammatory, going back to plants again. But then there are even some meats, so grass-fed meats. When you are incorporating meats into your diet, making sure that they're organic, grass-fed as much as possible. Fatty fish, wild-caught seafood do wonders for the skin and reducing inflammation. So those would be some of my top foods, lifestyle habits, really establishing the basics. So of course, making sure that you're staying hydrated, movement, making sure that you are moving. Movement is so important. So our skin is the last organ, the last place to receive nutrients. So by moving, aerobic exercise, it helps to stimulate blood flow and deliver nutrients to the skin. And it's also going to help with gut health, the microbiome. So the health of the microbiome is affected by exercise. And it also is going to help keep you regular in terms of elimination, stimulate detoxification, release toxins through our sweat as well. So a lot of different reasons why we want to be doing those things.
Well, Dr. Peter, thank you so much for being on the show. You've taught us a lot. And if you want to learn more, you can grab her book. But where can they find you if they're more interested in learning more about their gut health connection to their skin?
Yeah, so they can connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Shayna Peter. They can learn more about my practice at, it's Dr. Shayna E. Peter. So on Instagram, I'm Dr. Shayna E. Peter. And they can learn more about my practice at wellaheadchicago.com, as well as drshaynapeter.com, where we have some educational webinars and other resources.
And of course, we're going to put the links to all of that, including the link to her book, in the show notes. You can connect with her, get the book, and learn more. Like I had no idea that even though I know what we put in our body exits our body, I had no idea that gut health really played such a big role in our skin issues. So thank you so much for educating on that on us today. So Dr. Peter, you were amazing. I absolutely enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed your book. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much to me.
Thanks for listening to the Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast. Make sure to visit Jana's website, bestholisticlife.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, or listen there so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show. That'll help too. Let's change the world together, one health expert at a time. Looking forward to seeing you next time.